One day, we are born. One day, we die. And between those two moments, we try to understand what we are doing here. But before birth, we know almost nothing. And after death, we know even less. So the first question appears. Why are we here? We understand a small part of the present, but the past is mostly hidden from us, and the future is completely uncertain. We are standing in the middle of a story without knowing how it began or how it ends. For thousands of years, humans have asked the same question. What is the meaning of life? Religions gave answers. Philosophers searched for answers. Science explained more and more about the universe. But the deepest question remained. Some people find meaning in God. Others find it in love. Some find it in family, creativity, knowledge, or simply being alive. Perhaps these meanings give us something important, a reason to keep going. But nihilism takes a much colder position. It asks, what if there is no greater purpose? What if the universe doesn't have a plan for us? What if meaning isn't hidden somewhere? Because there was never any meaning there to begin with. The word nihilism comes from the Latin word nihil. It means nothing. At its heart, nihilism questions the idea that life has any objective meaning, value, or purpose. For many people, nihilistic thinking begins with one tiny word. Why? Why do I believe this? Why should I follow this rule? Why is this good? Why is that wrong? And the more deeply you ask, the harder the answers become. Think about your deepest beliefs. Where did they come from? Your parents? Your culture? Your religion? Your society? And if you keep asking why, eventually, you may reach a point where there is no clear answer. Humanity has discovered incredible things. We have studied atoms, mapped the stars, explored space, built civilizations. And yet, when we ask why existence itself exists, we eventually reach the edge of what we know. For the nihilist, that final unanswered question leads to a disturbing possibility. Maybe there is no ultimate why. Maybe existence simply exists. No grand explanation, no hidden purpose, no final answer waiting for us. But nihilism is not exactly the same as pessimism. A pessimist believes life is bad. A nihilist asks whether good and bad have any objective meaning at all. The pessimist says, the glass is half empty. The nihilist asks, why does the glass matter? This becomes even more disturbing when we talk about morality. Most of us believe some things are truly good and some things are truly evil. But the nihilist asks, are good and evil actually part of the universe? Or are they ideas humans created to understand how we should behave? This is where nihilism differs from cynicism. A cynic may believe people are selfish, but the cynic still believes good exists. They simply think humans rarely act from it. The nihilist goes further. They question whether good and evil exist at all. And nihilism isn't the same as apathy. An apathetic person may believe life has meaning, but simply doesn't care. A nihilist is making a different claim. There may be no ultimate meaning to care about in the first place. And then, nihilism creates its own strange paradox. If you believe in nothing, haven't you made nothing into something you believe in? Maybe that's why nihilism is so difficult to define. It doesn't simply give us an answer. It destroys the answers we thought we had. Nihilism doesn't come in just one form. Some nihilists question political systems. Some question morality. and others believe that life itself has no meaning. These are different paths toward the same disturbing question. What, if anything, truly matters? Political nihilism goes further than simply criticizing governments. It questions the entire structure of society. The argument is radical. If political and social systems control human freedom, perhaps those systems must be destroyed before humanity can become truly free. Ethical nihilism attacks something even deeper. It questions objective morality. Maybe good and evil aren't universal laws. Maybe societies created these ideas to control behavior. And if morality is created by humans, what makes one moral rule absolutely true? Then there is existential nihilism. This is the idea most people mean when they use the word nihilism. The belief that human life has no objective purpose. You are born, you live, you die. And the universe doesn't give your life a final meaning. And this is where nihilism becomes emotionally difficult. Imagine discovering that nothing you do has any ultimate significance. Your achievements, your inventions, your relationships, even the progress of civilization. What if, in the scale of eternity, all of it disappears without a trace? Think about everything humanity has built. We crossed oceans, mapped the Earth, reached space, created medicine, technology, and entire civilizations. But nihilism asks a brutal question. What if none of it has any ultimate meaning? This is where Friedrich Nietzsche becomes important. Nietzsche understood that traditional beliefs were losing their power. People were beginning to question religion, morality, and inherited ideas. He famously described this transformation with 3 words: God is dead. Nietzsche wasn't simply saying that a god had physically died. He was describing a cultural transformation. The old source of absolute meaning was losing its authority. And once that foundation disappears, we are left with a terrifying question. What comes next? For Nietzsche, this was dangerous. If old values collapse and nothing replaces them, people can lose their sense of direction. Good and evil become uncertain. Purpose disappears, and society can enter a period of deep confusion. And this creates a frightening problem. If nothing is objectively valuable, how can we say that cruelty is wrong? How can we say slavery is wrong? How can we condemn genocide or injustice? Most of us feel the answer immediately, but explaining why those things are objectively wrong is much harder. This was one of Nietzsche's greatest fears. He believed nihilism could destroy old values, but simply destroying the old world wasn't enough. Humanity would eventually have to create new values. Otherwise, after tearing down the old house, we would simply be standing in the ruins. And this question doesn't belong only to 19th century philosophy. Look around today. Traditional beliefs are changing. Religious authority is weaker in many societies. Social media constantly challenges old ideas. Everyone is creating their own version of reality. And slowly, the old question returns. If everyone can create their own truth, who gets to say what is right? If nothing has objective meaning, why should one person's values matter more than another's? There is no easy answer. But perhaps nihilism doesn't have to be the end. Maybe discovering that the universe doesn't hand us a meaning doesn't mean life has to become meaningless. Maybe it means we have a responsibility. If meaning isn't given to us, perhaps we have to create it. Maybe life doesn't need a cosmic explanation to be worth living. Maybe we don't need the universe to tell us why we are here. We can love, create, learn, laugh, experience, and live. Perhaps the answer to nihilism isn't finding the perfect meaning, but choosing to make life meaningful anyway.